Alright, one of the most common questions I see in the niche but thriving community that is Python game development is how do you implement camera scroll? So let's go over that real quick. Let's say you already have a really basic game set up. We have the events loop being run, we are drawing our background, in this case a grid, and we already have player movement set up. Displaying that and doing the end of frame utilities like taking care of the clock ticking, display flipping, and display clearing. Alright, so what does that look like? That looks like this. Really simple thing. We just have a grid and a black square that is the player that we can move around with the arrow keys. Nothing complicated. Alright, so you've gotten this far, and now you want the camera to be locked to the position of your player. So first, let's set up a variable to keep track of how far the camera has been scrolled. We're going to do that with this data class, which is named position, and position just has an x and y attribute to it. Really simple stuff. Data classes just create a class with an init function that already has this stuff set up as default values, so you can just do this. How do you get data classes? You just import them. Data classes are already built into the Python standard library. You don't need to install anything. You can just throw this right into your import statements, and you can just write this real quickly. A lot of people instead will do something like scroll equals 0, 0 to initialize it like that, and that's fine. So instead of doing scroll.x in this scenario, you would do scroll 0, and instead of scroll.y, you would do scroll 1. I personally just like the look of scroll.x, scroll.y, right? It's really nice and clear about what you're talking about here. So up to you. We're going to use this data class. So scroll is a position with x and y, and now we need to update where this position is based on where the player is moving. So let's do that. Let's say player.x minus camera scroll, or that's right, I just need scroll in this case. Scroll.x does not equal window, which is our display surface, dot get width divided by 2. So I should probably write if. Anyways, so if this is the case, so if the player is not at the middle of the screen, then we want to update the scroll position. So let's do that. Let's say scroll.x plus equals player.x minus scroll.x plus window dot get width divided by 2. Thank you tab9 for writing all that out for me. So what's this doing? This is going to add the difference between the middle of the screen and the player to the scroll. So let's do the same thing for the y's. We just take this entire thing, Command C, Command V, change all these x's to y's, and change the width here to the height. Simple enough. So how do we get it so that the camera scroll actually has any impact on anything? There we go. You just subtract those x and y values from everything you display to the screen. So this also applies to our grid we're drawing, and that's already set up here because it's just a lot of typing. But you see what I'm doing here. You just take where everything is being displayed, and you subtract this from those coordinates. Scroll y, scroll x, and that takes care of all that for you. So what does this look like? There we go, we got camera scrolling. Now this is a really harsh camera scroll. It's really, jerky, like bam, stops. There's no like smoothness to it. Sometimes this is a good thing. This isn't necessarily bad, but a lot of people like this smooth style. So how do you do that? You take this entire thing, slap some parentheses around it, and divide it by an arbitrary number. Let's say 12. And what does this look like? Look at that. Look how easy that was. Smooth scrolling. Now, you can increase the slowness by increasing this number. So let's say we wanted it to be like 36. Now the camera will really slowly update to the position of the player. We can also do the opposite. We can make it really fast. So there is some smoothing, but it's not, very, it's not super dramatic. It's really nice and subtle. And yeah, that's how you do camera scrolling in a nutshell. This is it. This is all you got. You just have to subtract your scroll values from literally everything you display to the screen. And this is how you get your scroll values. And these X and Y coordinates can be like any object you want. If you don't want to scroll to the player, this can be in a different object. That doesn't really matter. Like say your player fires a projectile, right? And you want the camera to scroll to where the projectile's going. You can just switch this out for the projectile. And it's X and Y coordinates. So anyways, that's how you do camera scrolling. Hopefully that answers some questions that I see a lot. All right.